we'll be starting here. Didn't have the lobby is open for as long as I'd like, but Windows 11, man, not much you can do about it sometimes. And I'm gonna start with what's the deal here? Well that's interesting. Can we? Oh, second monitor's on. There we go. All right, flip that back on. Oh, okay. Yeah, it was looking at tablet for a while, so I guess I can just leave all those on. Set it up with. Hello and welcome to Bug Free Productions. Let's turn this down. Hello and welcome to Bug Free Productions. Today, as the title recommend or suggests, we're going to be going into Racer Ammunition, just doing the testing on the pooling, making sure that all works correctly. So if you've been following along for the last two-ish videos, I think we'll be going along with that. As always, you can catch demos live on Twitch.tv, Jib at BFP, and YouTube recordings at Bugfree Productions -R4M for some reason. Not sure why that was that way, but whatever. So today with the ammunition, if people want to filter in and stuff, I'll leave it open for a little bit, and I'm just gonna cover kind of a tangent today. So without further ado, we'll flip over to the other thing, which is here we go. Yep, we'll flip over to this one, and we'll just talk about a little bit of what I noticed today. So if you've been following along and went through the energy damager type videos, or were there for the demo, we'll take a look at, whoops. So here's one thing I noticed. So this won't be grayed out for you if you've been following along. What I did is I just commented this out. So actually it's greened out because of my settings, but same diff. We got, I renamed my, what is this called? No, I renamed my request in my service, to remove that part because these guys function the same no matter, just let me, there we go. These play the same no matter the way it works, because they don't actually rely on a collider, so removing that COL part beforehand helps me know that, yeah, it's not affected because they just get an game object that's passed through by somebody else. So I just renamed those and did that by doing Control R. So Control R twice gets you the rename, and you rename it. Hit enter and it'll change it everywhere it's referenced. And then I extracted, so I did that for services and requests, and I went back to client, and the reason I changed client a little bit is because I'm gonna have, now I'm starting to have some trigger command clients. So I don't want this to be the only base class I have, so I want to pull it out into what you see here, command client, which I created and just put the request in there. Because on collision is still specific to a client that collides with a different object, right? So we want that to remain on here while we move the request function actually out, at least in its initial definition, into the command client over here, which we look here and we see I went through and renamed some of this stuff too. command request, so now this is just matching with my new setup because a command request is a mounted behavior, but it isn't dedicated to collision anymore. So we get around some of that a little bit. And what this is actually geared towards is eventually I'm going to make a, what was it called? A trigger command client, which will send to a request. We'll send to a CMD request object, which will then look at a CMD service object, which performs the service, so that we get that sort of branching possibility without having it tied down to we must use a collision, so that we can have trigger ones too that use the same kind of system. That was just something I thought I'd bring up because people might be looking to expand some things past their, projectile collisions and stuff, have that stuff happen. But so that's something that you could do to kind of expand the reusability of it. And it wasn't like it was a little bit of just, it wasn't needed yet. So I had collision command client instead of just regular command client, but it is just sort of, we weren't using it yet, so I didn't have it yet. So with that, let's go ahead and go to, if everyone's good with that, I think I'll just move on to the next command, or not command, the actual topic of today, which is testing our ammunition that we were making in the Unity 3D. So what we should be able to do is we should be able to go to our Unity project, and it's 7 after, so we should be good on that. I just want to check one thing quickly. There we go. Make sure that's not going to run in the background and take up CPU usage. So we go and we get our Unity environment. And our Unity environment is right here. I'm in my bike scene because I was demoing to some people about my beautiful zero gravity function, which no longer works because I'm in the middle of switching it over. So we're gonna head over to some. So we're not gonna demo that right now. There was an earlier video where I did that, but basically an ammunition, that's animation, not ammunition. So in assets, scripts, ammunition, and yep, so you can open your ammunition classes here. So I'll open this. I'm going to close my energy damager. Oh, and if you make those changes that I did, you'll also have to remember to go in here, protected override. So I changed the base request to a CMD client to use a game object, and then just had the collision thing pass it a game object because I didn't want colliders necessary because or I didn't want collisions to be mandatory because um, collisions only occur on collision, and if we're going to use it with on trigger, we don't want it to require a collision. Um, so that's where request is now a game object. I just changed this apparently here, which if you're watching the video, you can pause and go back and make sure your code matches for these last few. In other words, so I'm going to go ahead and close these guys as we're not using these today. Gravity zone not using, zoned gravity not using, player manager Don't think so, but I'll leave it open. But I'm gonna move my ammunition, my bullet, and we're just gonna look at this real quick. So what does this tell me basically? Um, Basically this is where we left off in the last coding part, and we're looking at bullets list, casings, muzzle flash. These are for future endeavors. We got powder to work, so it launches with a powder, which is a multiplier basically that I threw in there. Basically multiplies the force that you have. Um, Multiplies the vector of force direction. So if we look at all that, we got pool self, pool ammo, powder. Um, what do we have then? So we have the use factory item. That's all normal. And if any of this doesn't make sense, I recommend that you go back and check the other, I think last two videos is where we started ammunition, and look at that because those are not going to change moving forward for the most part. Bullets, bullet list, casings, muzzle flash. Just quickly familiarizing myself with it. Pool ammo, pool self. Just editing and overriding those things that we're inheriting from. This is all good. Bullet, and then fire bullet, ready bullet, which is move it to position. Apply deviation, which doesn't do anything currently, but here's where you'd add your rotation, bloom, etc. Um, and apply initial force, which is where we have that. So that should fire. And then check our on collision. Deactivate bullet, stop all coroutines, game object.set active, false. So it turns off the game object in terms of rendering and scripts on update. Very important. IE numerator. So this is called to delay deactive. So delays the deactivation, wait for seconds, and then deactivates the bullet by calling this, which stops all the coroutines running and then makes it inactive. So that we reuse this, this deactivate for any time we hit something, which I don't know that I have. Here it is. On collision, we just run deactivate bullet. So everything catches up and clears that isn't being used for methods that might be running like coroutines that aren't necessary anymore. So we have all this. This looks really good. So the only thing to do would be is basically to throw it in a scene and test it right now. Since it's on any collision, we don't have to worry about layers and stuff like we did for ground check yet. We're just testing bullet collides with thing and does that. We might eventually add an on trigger. Actually, I kind of want to do that because then we can have triggers are where you can get some really weird stuff running. We'll finish up the testing for this, and then maybe we'll talk about on triggers for a little while, and then yeah, on triggers, then spotlight for next vid, and then um, possibly something else on the end for halftime. We'll see. Um, but we'll head out to but what is this? We'll head out to something else. We'll head back to Unity and look at. I'm gonna need to go to my ammunition scene, which is the testing one. So I need to go assets, like scenes, and then tests. And if you haven't seen how I organize my stuff before, I just like everything in separate folders that I'm going to use. Makes it easier to understand. So I go to scripts, I have a folder inside those. Those scripts are organized into different folders. I easily have like 50 at this point, probably. That might be an overstatement. 1, 2, 3 plus, which is 3 by 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, so about 12. So about 12 by 3 is, I mean, 30 some at least. That's not too bad, too far off. Um, Not as a random guess, anyways. What do we have as select racer? Actually, my weapons doesn't have that many scripts in it, does it? Anyway. So ammunition classes, but what we actually need is to go to asset scenes. And I have in tests all the things I'm testing, which it doesn't look like I actually included this in the test. Test would be bullet test, and I'm gonna throw it in test. Just so I can find the dang thing. And dragging it around in the hierarchy doesn't affect my build settings. Scene index setup. It just moves it within the project, so as long as I don't move it somewhere really dumb, like outside of the project through File Explorer, it'll be here and work fine. A little recap of what we're expecting and what we're looking at. So right now we are waiting for program to load. I did have to make some slight changes because I screwed up some stuff when I was what was it? Huh, what did I change? I have a feeling metadata got changed. Scenes. Okay, so let's go back to assets. And we're gonna have to go to prefabs and we're gonna have to go to bullets, which is misleading, ammunition. Because bullet should only be running on collision. So let's make sure ammo doesn't have any colliders. Nope. Bullet has a regi body so that it always registers a collision if it collides with something. Sphere collider. Set delay active to 3. And then let's go back to the scene. Okay. So if we're in the scene, what's capsule have? Capsule has collider. Let's try removing that. What's the deal with that? Is it something I edited? Because it was firing last week, and all of a sudden it's not firing this week. On collision enter, it's not colliding with anything, but let's run a debug statement. Debug.log YOY. Because that's one place it could fail. Another thing is to go check my enumerator. Yield wait for a second, wait for deactive. Does that exist? So you remember a lot of my style is collect vars on enable. Wait for seconds or wait for deactive equals new wait for seconds delay deactive. Which is equal 3 by default and then changed in inspector. So that should all be working. Let's try this again. And it's already Why isn't it launching at all? H. Okay, so let's look at bullet. The script. Edit script. So bullet, collect vars, collision enter, deactivate bullet. So that's only called on, what's on collect vars? So collect vars, get component rigid body, which is just the rigid body on this object. Wait for deactive. So equal to that. I don't think. Apply initial force. Whoops. Apply initial force. Add force transform forward. Force mode dot impulse and I. Yep, there it is. Right there. If you don't see what I see by this problem, it means essentially that I am putting a force of 1 in some direction, being the forward direction. 1 is not enough to move an object with a mass of 1, even as an impulse, so I need to put in by multiply APOW. I don't know, maybe yours doesn't look like that. Maybe that was a pushing issue where I was not doing things in the correct order in GitHub, maybe. Or it could have been when I was changing things, I did something wrong here. When I made this change, like started pulling stuff out into multiple methods and putting them in a fire bullet. So it could have been something I did here, or when I was putting this together at least. To be perfectly honest, well, I could make it, yeah, that's kind of stupid to change. Not stupid, but it's kind of inconsequential to change it. So if I changed apply force to also take in an ammo, this ammunition class that gets passed to it when ammunition fires, that would be, kind of pointless, because just changing it to pass in this whole object rather than the float is just extra steps, at least from my point of view. So let's go ahead and we're not going to apply deviation. We should go ahead and test that thing that we just changed to make sure it fires the way I was expecting it to fire. And how's this look? H. No, it doesn't. It still does not. Why? Use gravity is off. What if I change gravity back to on? Was that the problem? That's still not the problem. What is the problem here then? We got, so if use gravity was not the problem, let's just go ahead and assume that, leave it on. Ammunition. What was the console? Did I get any logs? YOY collided twice. What? Okay, let's double check this. Yep, okay, so double is right, yep. Press once, we get nothing. Press twice, we get 2 YOYs. So that's 2 collisions, because they occupy the same space, because they're not moving out. Okay. Then what should we do? So if it's not that, what's the ammunition? Does the ammunition have a powder? It has 100. If it's not using gravity, it might be meh. If it's not using gravity, it might be the bullets. Nope, changed that. That's correct. The mass up here, that is. What does this do? Come on. Maybe we'll have to open the ammunition script. Hopefully we don't have to open Unity or reopen Unity. Come on. But essentially, bullet moving forward. Let's pull open our ammunition script. Ammunition. So when we get use factory, we use factory item. Then we fire ammunition. Bullets equal bullets list to array. Okay, so we're just pulling this list to an array. Then we fire bullets. Why did we bother to put it in bullets? Because bullets. Because then we don't even. Oh, I think that was just a demonstration for Link, maybe. Yeah. For each bullet and bullets. Fire bullet. So if we ready the bullet with an ammo dot transform, is there something in here that's not running? Debug. Debug.log. Thingamabob. Yeah. Debug.log is going to have a nice why me one Control C, Control V, and I'm just gonna do 2. Those should be both fine. Control V, 3, because they happen basically with the same objects in reference, so that's fine. Start coroutine. Control V, 5, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. Save all that, Control Shift S, and we'll head back over to Unity to see what the heck we get from it. I can't figure out what that would be. H. And there's our problem. Okay, so our problem is before 1, it looks like. Let's run again, and H. YME7. YME7 runs to deactivate, so deactivate runs. Oh, set active once it's. Okay, so that's an important thing to keep in mind. Not the problem, but once you set an object active, they can't debug anymore, apparently. So, cool. But basically, one, ready bullet isn't even running. So fire bullet, why? What's ready bullet do? Ready bullet takes in-game object.set active. True. That's not a problem. So ready bullet isn't even called. There's no, we'll just call this one fire. Yep. So where's this at? Reference script. What? Unknown script is missing. Oh, that's because I didn't. Yeah, that's nothing. It's because I didn't exit play mode. So ready bullet fire wasn't even called. So what screwed up in ammunition that we changed? Ammo 1. Let's do Control V 2. Control V. For loop's a bad idea to do it in. Because then we get like 4 instances of ammo 3. Fire bullet. Let's just go ahead, go back to Unity again. Wait for this to load. Then we go play. We go H. So ammo 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 3 hits. So it does call fire bullet for bullet in that. Let's go back to the Unity. Did meta, oh, could be metadata too. So if we go to, let's just open this guy. We go to ammunition, right? Bullet in list. So it's in there. So array of bullets. Is that my problem? No, because it goes 1, 2. So bullets equals bullet list to array. Except that's wrong. Because fire bullet. Right. Because it's, yeah, because this is going to be empty. The list is going to be empty. So the list to array is empty an array, is an empty array, an array of 0 items. I mistyped this. This is, well, it is a cool demonstration of link. This is not right. It needs to be the other way around. It needs to be bullet list. bullet list equal to bullets dot to yeah. Which are we still using link? Yeah, so to list is a different method that I think is also included in link. And so now each one of those fires the bullets in the array, fires them off, and then they apply deviation, apply initial force. So let's see how this behaves compared to what we were expecting and desiring. Let's do a simple H. Come on. Play. Let's go back. Is it maybe covered up by the capsule? One, two, three, four. So we have three, and then we have 5, 7, 8, 6. Which is what? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, because it calls deactivate. These run, then 6 runs. Awkward. Okay, so game object set active doesn't actually do what I just thought it did. It doesn't affect this line from being run apparently. So that's good to know. So if it doesn't affect this line, um, let's go back to Unity. Okay, play. Let's just read this one fire. Ammo 1, ammo 2, fire. Why me 1, why me 2. So it readies the bullet. 2, 3. That's 4, 5, 6. So we need, should be 4, 4, 3. So that finishes 3. Ammo 3 being, fires the bullet. 3 concluding the ammunition firing cycle. And then fire. And what? So nothing happens then, shouldn't happen at least, until it hits 5. We got 5, which is the yield return. Deactivate. 5, 7, 8. These print 6. Because this concludes actually, and then we debug the 6. Okay. So let's do uh, app shift dev INITIAL. I wish there was a triple click option. 1, 2, 3, Control C. Apply initial force, rigid body, add force, transform dot forward. So then we go to, and now you can see why I didn't do it on the end of that other episode, huh? Let's go and see. H. Initial. Let's go 2. Then let's go back to Unity. Stop the play. Start the play. H. Initial 1 and initial 2. And then followed by that. Okay, so let's go. Initial 2 was placed after. So the transform Why? That doesn't make any sense. Play. And then let's go. Alright, so the ammo test. Let's try inspector. Bullet test is position of Z. 2000. Okay. Okay. Let's go to the prefab. Is it the what's ammo? Let's go to ammo. Put this back at like 100 or somewhere around 100, somewhere reasonable. Instead of at 400. $6,000. She also comes out to 6,000. Let's go ahead and turn this back to 1. Maybe we'll get it back to the slow space. Bullet 300. Scroll down, go up. Okay, so it's firing extremely fast. And then our ammo isn't pooling because we haven't finished that part yet, I guess. Weird. Okay, that wasn't happening last week. So let's go ahead and go to bullet Bullet is set at 1 now. Angular drag 0.5. Don't use gravity. Ammo test. Let's just pop that down to like 18. Let's go back to the scene. It's going really, really fast. Still, what is the... If it's not using gravity... Essentially, there it is. Okay, so no issues with their bullet whatsoever. We can go back and delete all those freaking debug statements. And I'm just going to comment them out for right now, just in case something else freak happens. So part of it was that list was not defined correctly. So transform forward by a power. We probably want to go limit that power to like 50 so that it's not pushing it too fast. And then bullet, one more thing I'll add up here to make sure we don't lose our mind again like that is going to be TECTED virtual void update. And I'm only going to limit its world velocity, so if you remember how to do that, you can do that. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my BFP tools. Bug-free productions dot, and what is it, extensions? Dot, and what is it, limit bug-free tool dot limit to world velocity. And yeah, technically that only extends the vector3 class. So I need a vector3, which would be RB dot RB dot velocity set dot crap. A vector3 rigid body dot velocity. This is the thing about memory and not having it is I don't remember what this particular guy was. Also coding once a week is not great if you're supposed to be doing it all the time. Velocity, rigid body. Why is it so... I'm just going to stop and think for a minute. So, limit to world velocity should be called from a vector3. Let's do vector 3. Vector 3, A, B, 3. Just trying to make something work here. Vector 3 equal to RB. Maybe I'm trying to do it in too quick of steps. Dot velocity. AV3 dot set. Okay, the only thing left to try is to add a using statement using bug preproductions dot extensions bug preproductions extensions bug free tool set. Nope. Let's just go to bug free tool and figure out what the hell I did. Limit to world velocity. This being a vector 3 instance of a vector 3 struct. TV3 meaning this vector 3. Okay, so static from vector 3 is the call syntax. Crap. Back arrow. This should be AV3 dot limit world velocity. God, I thought it was set world velocity for some reason. Limit to world velocity. Okay, so if I my geez. That's why I'm the tired bug. RIB velocity. Nope. RB dot VE tab dot limit to world velocity. Hoi. That shouldn't have been that hard. I need sleep, man. Okay. Deactivate bullet. We're gonna add some stuff to deactivate bullet to remove it from that list that we just made out of the array. The reason it's an array initially, lists weren't always supported in Unity dropdowns, and now it's just the dictionaries that aren't. Technically, you can still put them to the cloud, but you can't put them to serialization. So you can't serialize that field, which makes it available in Inspector. Even though you can send it to cloud through some of their Unity specific stuff for, forget the name of it right now, but that's because I don't really use it all that much. Update, limit to world velocity. So this should all be Cool. So if I actually go back now, I shouldn't have any of those problems. With it being over 25 units per second. Smoother, constant, gonna collide with objects. Beautiful. Before we fix the ammunition, I'm gonna go ahead and throw up to a different screen here. Um, so if you're finding this helpful, these tutorials or the concept therein, uh, you can watch the live demos on Twitch at Jib at BFP, or you can check out the recordings on Bug Free Productions. Remember to like and subscribe if they're useful or um, good reference, and then go ahead and also throw a comment in with questions or specific ideas that you might want to see. Like, I'll probably be looking at doing some, what's that? Be looking at doing some stuff tomorrow, which I wouldn't usually do, but looking at doing some stuff Wednesday, probably going to be doing abstract factory idea. Yeah, it's like based on it. Uh, at least based on the method, if not the method. So uh, remember to check that out if you're available to see that, and then we'll be looking at some other stuff that day as well. It'll probably go till might either be 2 hours or until the problem's finished, but it'll also include some JSON serialization in Unity and exporting a JSON file, preparing that, and then reading it back in and making an object. So it's probably going to be better ways to do it than I'll use. Mine's going to be really simple. Just use some SCOs, which I really like. SCO scriptable object. Mm. So yeah, keep those in mind. And then we'll also have some comics this week. Be Thursday. I'll probably start back on the comics. Um, it's actually probably 50-50 on that. Either be comics or I'm gonna roll up some stats for some stuff. So might be some Pathfinder stuff that day. If I end up doing it on stream or if I end up doing that off stream. And yeah, so we'll look at that. I won't share too much on my writing for that because uh so that the players can watch the streams because you never know when some of them are gonna drop in and just view a subject, so we'll keep that way. All right, and back to the ammunition, I think, with that little break. I'll take one more drink. Mm-hmm. And we'll keep it going. So, we're going to start editing the ammunition. So, basically, the bullet is going to have to, on its fire bullet, um, we have a couple options. If we check the bullets all the time, if they're all enabled, or if there's one enabled, kind of costly. So what would actually be better is to go and do that on deactivate. Um, so to go and do that, we'd actually be looking at, and I just want to pop up Unity to make sure it's not running. Cool. Deactivate. So deactivate game object set active false. I'm actually going to want one more line in here. So deactivate bullet Okay. How I pass the ready bullets into where is it? So on fire bullet, we pass in this ammunition and ammo into this odd thing, which does this. So we might want to change how this works a little bit. And that's just so that we can go back to this thing and say, hey, remove this from the list, and if the list is count 0, then you can deactivate and run your pooling, which would be more effective than checking to see if it's full all the time, if that list is full that we created. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's make sure these are commented out because I don't want to deal with them. Um, so, and let's do that. I actually want to make it one where I'm just going to create a variable. So this is for delay stuff. STUFF stoof. Um, this is going to be a protected. What kind of protected is it? It's a protected type of ammunition. Ammunition. Ammo. Equal null, sure. Just making sure that this is created as a null reference until it's not. So on fire bullet, ammo equals an ammo. Cool. Let's change ready bullet. Ready bullet. Don't need this transform anymore. Why don't I need it? Because ammo.transform ammo.transform, all that works. Cool. Perfect, right? What's this? Let's get rid of this as well. I know I said it's kind of pointless to do that, but if this is the only method that doesn't, or if this is the only method that has any kind of float or something in it, that'll bug me. So I'm gonna do it this way, actually, and we're gonna delete that. And it's gonna be dot ammo dot pow. What's the deal? Dot powder. Powder. So that works. These will all work. And why do they have to all work? Because they're called after ammunition, which is assigning the ammo to an ammo. Then they all get this information. Apply the initial force, all of this stuff buttoned up. Get rid of these debug statements, or at least silence them. All right. Well, then with that cleaned up, now that we have an ammunition reference at all times, when we do all these things, initial force, was it ready bullet that we did it? Yeah, we started the coroutine and ready bullet. So we could either do it in ready bullet or do it. No, we have to do it in deactivate bullet because deactivate bullet's where we deactivate things. So deactivate bullet right here. Stop all coroutines, do the selected action. Um, Setting the object active isn't enough. We need to go to ammo dot I think it's our rev. What I'll call it is rev um rev bullet. Um and it'll be this. So this class instance particular rev bullet. So let's go to ammunition. This stuff, fire ammunition, pool bullet, pool ammo, bullets list. Oh, I created the method already last time. So pool ammo, bullets list dot remove a bullet, which I pass in, which is what I was gonna make for remove bullet. And then bullets list count. So if it's less than one, we pool the self. So we actually just do that and make this a public method so that that can function. So wherever our red squiggles are, put pool ammo this, so this bullet particular, pool ammo, then this should all work. Test that, we jump over to Unity, hit to play, hit to H, and when the bullet, yep, and you can see, let's do that again, H, freaking H, and when bullet goes out, ammo goes out behind it. Cool. Not quite what we want if we're pooling correctly. So let's take a look at that, buddy. What could be running that incorrectly, huh? Pool ammo, game object set active false. Bullet list dot remove. So bullet list is the list of bullets. Bullets list dot remove a bullet if bullets list dot count less than pool self. Pool self takes me to ammunition. Pool self game object set active to false. Base pool self. Base pool self is pool is not equal to null. Pool object this. So then we should be adding ourselves to our pool. Um, and factory item inherits from poolable, so you know that it has the pool. Use factory item a transform. So you'll notice one thing that we put in transform here Um, dang. So use factory item. We're gonna have to actually go back to our factory, right? Easy way to do that. I'm just gonna go generic factory. Generic factory. What does generic factory do? So on create item, it does all this stuff. Pool check. If it's not null, then we do thing. Otherwise, if it is, we instantiate it. We find the factory item on it, and then we fi.use factory item. So current problem with this is that its pool isn't set. So what I need to edit this to do is to take in a factory, correct? Because that would solve our problem of not having a pool. Because I think right now what's happening is it's never adding itself to the pool because the pool is null. So what I need to do is to go and use, we'll have to create we either need to pass the pool in or pass the factory in. I might just do the pool. POO. I might just pass in the pool because there's no reason for it to have a generic pool. And I'll call it GP. Yeah, GP equals, I think it's the other way, pool equals GP. And I'll put AGP here. Oh, Control Z. Let's do it this way. RR AGP. Less keystrokes. Line under. Let's see how that works. So now that the pool shouldn't be null, shouldn't be, keyword should not. What did I screw up here? What did I? Crap. Use factory item, that's on factory item. This comes in, use factory item on ammunition. Crap. Yeah, that's fine. Generic GP. What did you do that for? You're not supposed to. It must be because it wasn't saved. A GP Control Shift S. AGP, because pool is the factory items thing, and if we pass that in, it'll still be null. So let's try that. Unity again. Let's clear it. What's this? Okay, because pool's declared, right? A equals new generic pool. Yes, it does. Let's go ahead and do a next. Wonderful. Next step should be go back to Unity. Make sure I've changed it in all the places that I screwed it up in the first time. Hit play. And we do H. H. Oh, no, that's wrong. H. Yep. And now we see that it's recycling. Because once it goes off, we fire once, twice, and once those gray out, they become reusable. That means 50 rounds a second, you only have 50 objects a second, but possibly reused, versus 50 objects a second and always created, always destroyed, which saves that calculation time. So now our pooling's working completely, and we're only 16 after. So this is where I would open up, or where I'll open up to chat. If anybody throws suggestions or anything in, we can look at those. Otherwise, I'm gonna look at something. I'm gonna sit here and think to myself as well. See if I can think of something to throw in here. Um, what am I looking for here? I want to go to the Fox. Oh, do. I'm gonna get rid of these guys too while I'm at it. Don't like that. Just get rid of the debugs. Silence the debug statements. Alright. So what can we do as a set? What could we do for little advancements on this? We could actually start the damage part. So damage was kind of, the idea wasn't to have a health bar or anything, right? So we can stop to think about this a little bit. So what does our damage actually look like? So it looks like we hit it, right? Boom, hit. And then it switches states to like a stunned or something, or slows, or like hits, and some kind of speed dampening, less of like a, kind of like a Mario Kart they spin out or whatever. Maybe we just want to hit these objects and cause a slowdown, right? So object that would move slower. Um, what would that look like? That would look like something colliding, which we've already done. Colliding command client. It would look like something else, which would be trigger. I could do the trigger command client. Then that's interesting actually, because it's not in this case. If this was a third person shooter, it might be a bit more interesting because our target shot would be towards a an object. So if we hit it, like say in Call of Duty, how you can shoot through some of the small fences and light cover, and you just take a damage reduction, so reduce damage through it. Could do something like that. Um, doesn't make a lot of sense in this case because um, it can't go through anything. But I think projectiles that have less collision, you know, maybe aren't fully tangible, might be useful in some situations. The problem is Collider's going to take up, because it's still a Collider object, it's going to take up just as much space and memory, whether it's a trigger or a Collider. So that doesn't really matter much. And if we're not doing the pass through, but if I did, but like we're doing bug free production, if I'm putting it in tools like this, that might be something useful. So maybe we will change the bullets slightly. We could change the bullets a little bit to be where's on collision. And all we really have to do is on trigger. On trigger. Just gonna pull it up here too, because on trigger enter. I'm just gonna steal it because I can't spell. On trigger enter. Why is it has incorrect signature? Oh, on trigger enter. Collider. That being the collider that it hits? Yeah, that's how it would be, because it's always written as a lot of people as they're introducing it will other, so collider of the other object. We'll use that for demonstration, sure, why not? Deactivate the bullet. I mean, that's fine. Nothing specifically that had to happen on collision in there anyway. What would we do to actually cause damage? So we're gonna just kind of set up some more stuff to be covered later. Um, or not covered later, connected later. And we don't actually need extensions. So the reason we don't need extensions using statement is because, oh, do I? Maybe I do. Maybe I do. Yep, I do. Okay. I was thinking maybe I didn't because it technically extends the vector3 class, which is included in Unity. Apparently that extension becomes inaccessible when you don't have the namespace and you're using statements. Becomes inaccessible because it doesn't know about it, because technically it's not defined in Unity engine, which is interesting. Because yeah, it's all good now. But on trigger deactivate, so basically what I want to do is I want to add CMD client. Yeah, because client is actually trig. Okay, let's just go. Let's walk it back. Oh, walk this back. That's all the further I want to walk back. I want Control S, Control Shift S. Throw it back to Unity and okay, so the idea was, oh, it was in run. God dang it. The idea is that I want to do trigger instead. So, like I said, I was moving that out. So now I can make a trigger CMD client that still has request that can be used on trigger instead. And then any other method that would use trigger on a different thing that happens via call, you know, works that way. Cool. So we want, I think I started this. And apparently I didn't, or it didn't save, because that was when not Unity, Windows was deciding to be a total pain. I'll pull this screen back up to full screen. Um, We just made those couple changes, so it shouldn't be too bad. But give you a better view from here on out. We're looking at, what did I put it in? I think I did it in energy, which is where I didn't want it to be, but it is where it is. So I didn't create one yet. Eventually what I'll do, possibly towards the end, after I verify that everything's still functional, is to move this through this into like generics or command folder something that explains that, easier for me to reference when I need to go back to it, because it being in this energy wasn't a problem when I created this for this other demo, but it is a problem now. So uh, we're gonna go trig underscore cmd underscore client. And usually I don't like to use this many underscores, but gotta keep with the theming. And then I want to go ahead and let that open in VS. Open some lines, because especially now I might end up putting, or not especially now, moved up in timeline is when I might need to, yeah, a possible advance on the timeline for creating some of these US assets. Yeah, that would be right. Creating some of these script assets, either GitHub or in some capacity, might be moved up in contrast to when I thought it was going to happen. So 5/2024. Forgot where I was going with that, but yeah, my brain has a really small space for information, which is funny considering how much it does, or it has a really small space for short-term memory, rather, which is weird, but is what it is, I guess. So like I can maybe, what is it? I can instinct my way through a good deal of like some programming stuff, and then as soon as it gets to hold a just any sort of memory for a conversation, it's like, oh, so you wanted a blank canvas, right? Just absolutely no words. Just leave that empty. Which is why if you watch like the, what is it? Yeah, if you watch like the Blender streams, it's a lot more cohesive because I'm just jumping in off of somebody else hosting, so I don't have to run the tech plus the coding plus the content plus whatever. Yeah, there it is again. Totally lost the thread on what I was saying. Bars. So we got this in here. Big deal. Let's go CMD client. CMD client, right? Yeah. Hear it from that. This is fine because we're just going to throw it right through. All of that is fine. methods is where we need a protected. Actually, I'm gonna go on enable just right away because I can't spell. Or not on enable, on trigger, enter. Can't spell. And it's not gonna be private because I don't like private variables. Protected, at least not when I don't know when they're gonna end. In terms of if I'm gonna inherit or not. So protected. I'm also gonna do virtual because you never know. Virtual void. Control S on trigger. What can we do on trigger? On trigger can do request. So we can do request EQU request, and request in terms of a CMD client is just that it needs a game object, so it'd be other, which means the other objects collider that we hit, that game object, so the other game object that we hit, throwing into request, which is just going to send our personal game object into the request form, and then through the request, it'll send it to the other services, and if there's a service that wants it, it'll pick it up. Which we haven't made the service yet, but this is just the base part that we don't actually run on anything. So what we need to do now is, so now that we have this trig CMD client, let's go back to our bullets. Also, if we do have a barrier, this allows it for trigger to hit the barrier, go through and do less damage. If that's something we want to do as a racing game piece. So cool. Still might be usable in our set of things to do. TRI trig CMD client. So request doesn't really have to do anything. On trigger, oh, I did this. So you'll remember that we used base, that we can use base, right? And you'll remember that we used request, which passed in a game object. And we don't actually need to change request. So what we can actually get away with is just throw in here and we go, actually, this is going to become override. So it becomes overriding because we're overriding our base class of trig CMD client. And we're going to override the trigger, the untrigger enter to be base base.onTrigger enter other. So it'll all run normal plus start deactivate bullet. Yeah, that's right. So it'll do all this and then do deactivate bullet. With that, so nothing in the behavior should change so far. Let's make sure that's true. So what have we got? We got H, H, H. Yep, seems to be working perfectly fine. Grace out. H, H, H activates correctly in sequence. Which is the beauty of using pooling, is that we have at most 3 objects somewhere in memory, and they just keep resetting and working correctly. Instead of create, destroy, create, destroy. So we have our triggers, that sort of thing. We'll go towards, what's the service? Have we done a health service yet? Let me check. let's check our prefabs. Go into here and check our, do we have a health service yet? We did not create a health service yet. Racer, objects, request. Yeah, the only one we did was an energy service. So let's think about our health service. And at 35 after, we might only outline it a little bit, but basically health service, I want it to hit, I want it to go to stun for a certain amount of time, being damage. If you keep hitting them, you get stunned for a larger amount of time, or in stun, maybe we have like a value. Oh, maybe we don't do the stun state like we thought we did. Or we could later, but for right now, like maybe we get a stun buildup as health services. Let's go ahead and get a notepad out here. Notepad's great for typing ideas when I have no idea what applications I have on the machine. Uh, so notepad being, so what are our options? We can do a straight stun. Equals stunned 4 times by hit. And actually stun CAUSED and EXTEND extended by hit. Then we can go cumulative 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 stun, which is build up change ACCUMULA cumulate. That's spelled wrong because I don't think I typed what I said either, which may or may not be the problem there, based on me not being able to spell. Cumulative stun, accumulate, ACCUMULATION. Accumulate damage, slow based on accumulation. So say we hit him with 100 rounds over a certain period of time, it accumulates up to 100, doesn't exceed it, and slowly decreases, decrements, because I don't think decumulation is a word. So it increments and then it decrements until it's back to normal and removes the modifier from the speed. The other thing is there's so many things we can do. We just have to figure out what the heck we should do. Blended. And this actually is used in a lot of games, like Armor Core uses something like this. So if we think of the stunned as like the, what is it? I don't remember what they call it per se, but you take so much damage and it builds up, and then your system overheats where you just take more damage. Or there's also a secondary. There's like three different stun states in that game. There's or what I would equate with a stun state in this context. Um, there's a state where you're overheated from taking too much damage, so you become more susceptible to damage. There's one where you take so many hits and then it overrides. If you're in the air, it'll stun lock you in midair. And there's another one where it's kind of like you slowly. Is there a third one? Or no, it's not a third one, but it's kind of like strained is what it is. You build up strain, so that's like a cumulative, and you build up strain until the point where you are fully strained, and then you take extra damage, and then the other one where you're like in the air, and if you take so much, like mostly from rockets or something, it stuns you in the air, and when you reach strain, it also fully stuns you. So, um, what I think I want is to do a blended where accumulation does create modifier. Accumulation create modifier. Accumulation creates modifier. Modifier speed. Uh, modifies speed, so whether that be acceleration or maximum velocity, which I think it'll affect maximum velocity. Um, because not that it makes more sense, but it makes it easier for me to implement, because if I have to calculate or if I have to play around with it to the point where it moves slower because it's accelerating less, that's kind of tedious. Perfectly valid but tedious, I find. Um, modifier modifies max velocity. Velocity, um, and I'm just gonna go ahead and, for readability's sake, I'm gonna go tab. I'm gonna go tabity tab. Velocity, and that's just so I can have this paragraph with one equal sign. Um, so if it has a max velocity, um, and then I either want a breaking, I think I want a breaking point. Um, breaking point makes racer stunned. Stunned. Oh, that would be kind of interesting too. If you're stunned and you can't turn, or if you're stuck turning the same way and can't change it, that's kind of um. So let's do optional. Optional. Can't turn. while stunned and can't change turn while stunned. Turn while stunned. Ooh. Change turn while stunned. Okay, so we'll actually start on the damage coming up here. It's 46 after. Stunned. Whoops. Just copy paste. Control C. Control V. Control V. It's probably because I don't think of U as needing any extra consonants after it. Yeah. Um, can't turn while stunned, or can't change turn while stunned. So say I'm already like turning right, and so all of a sudden I get, oh, that wouldn't really work with the current racer input bridge, would it? Because technically our turns with the current input racer bridge is just set on that value, and then the state goes back and gets that value. So if it's not reading that value from the current rib, then I need to store that somewhere. Uh, so while it would be funny to all of a sudden be stuck in a turn, especially on drift, and just really screw up your directions, um, I think what it's gonna end up being is this first one. Can't turn while stunned. So we're gonna enter a lower maximum velocity, and then we're gonna have a modifier that modifies the max. Yeah, so we're gonna have it enter upon strain condition, so it's enough damage. Um, Under enough strain, it enters stunned mode and can't turn. So it just stops taking into account the input bridges turning at all. So that'll change that. Um, okay, and my other IK should be fine. So that's kind of the way it is now. There's not really a thing I can start with 10 minutes to 8 and get finished. So I'm gonna pop up this one. Um, so if you're finding these videos helpful, you can watch live demos at Twitch TV, Jib at BFP, or watch the videos on YouTube, the recordings. If you're watching at either place, remember to come and drop in the chat on Twitch or BFP on the YouTube. You can definitely send a comment on one of the videos if there's something you want to see or questions about something that has been done on here. I might do if I get questions or something, I might actually do like just a breakdown section on it, and explain some of like my approach to why I approached the problem that way, on top of that, so that you can see a little bit more in depth if I haven't covered it enough. Um, and then once we get to so yeah, like, subscribe, and share on the YouTube channel, if you like this kind of video and you find these kinds of videos useful. Uh, Next week we'll plot on accumulation, create modifier, and modify max velocity. So this type of stuff we'll definitely get to. Um, this optional stuff we will get to, but probably not next week. Probably the week after for this one, because this is built off of this. Um, so we'll start on this next week for sure, and then possibly get this started next week, maybe not. Um, Next, tomorrow, actually tomorrow, is gonna be, we have some um project I'm working on with my with a group, and back with my instructor as I'm going back for my master's. We have um we're gonna do something based on the what was it called? Abstract factory idea. So like I've already used the factory for ammunition and other types of things in this project. Um, Abstract factory, we're gonna use an abstracted kind of thing. So basically we're making a factory for the factories. So one factory goes through and based on its reference goes, okay, this factory, we make this thing. Uh, and that's mostly going to be string reference. So you'll get to see me cry. You'll get to see me cry, real tears. And with the abstract factory, we're also going to make some placeholders for I don't need that. Um, Placeholders for objects or object placement. Placeholders because it's not going to fit in 2 hours, and I just need classes that are named. And I can say what's what. Classes for ECT placement, object placement. Yeah, what's the last thing? The last thing is probably gonna be, so is it abstract factory placeholder for object placement, JSON, JSON, object creation in Unity. And likely you'll get to see all of these actually function. I might switch between 2 projects or more, being that I've already done this part in a different project, so we'll have that open if possible, as well as I think we'll do it in this one. Even though you won't technically use it, yeah, we might. I mean, we could really shoehorn it in for the bike selection, so it saves your selected bike and color, all that. Um, which I'll probably discuss with using my assets instead of this one. This asset might not be much longer lived just because I find it hard to keep both scenes working and functional, and that sort of thing. Even though I haven't spent much time keeping this functional, it's still something that needs to do. Um, and yeah, so that's for the next day, and what is it, last Thursday? Or this Thursday. It's going to be the last Thursday. We'll be switching to a Tuesday, Wednesday sort of thing, I think. Uh, we'll be looking at Tuesday, Wednesday, and removing Thursday from the schedule. But this Thursday, we'll have art and comics again, doing some stuff with that. I think we'll just go back to the comics or we'll do some Pathfinder stuff. We'll see. Um, depends on what the YouTube comments are. Or video comments. I don't know how that works on Twitch. If it's just chat or if there is a comments part. I'm sure it would tell me if I got some, so. Um, we'll have everything set up that way for that. So check out tomorrow for these things. I'm not sure at what time, but so make sure to follow on Twitch if you want to view it live so that you get the alert. Because I'm not sure what time tomorrow it'll be at. It'll be when the internet is most usable. Awesome. Um, with that, I think that covers everything, and where's that thing? I think we'll go ahead and start this. And with that, I think we'll let this play out and wish everybody a bug-free night. Thank you.